Hello, welcome back from lunch. Both Gillian and I run early stage startups, and similar to most startups, we're resource constrained, whether it be people, capital, or bandwidth. But often this sort of environment forces us to innovate. In order to compete with the likes of many of you in this room and other well-entrenched companies, we have to dig deep and get creative in order to break through the noise. But getting traction's hard. For meaningful growth, we have to completely redefine traditional channels, come up with new ones, and repeatedly test over and over again at a rapid-fire pace. Because the truth is, as startups, if we don't figure it out quickly, we disappear. So, you'll recognize many of the names on this page. And for some, it might feel like they went from 0 to 1 million users overnight. Their growth seems magical, but in fact it wasn't. They too were young startups like us one day. So today, Gillian and I are going to talk about how we got traction in the early days of our startup, and we're going to show several case studies of other fast-growing companies from other industries and what they've been doing to excel, because they too want to be on a page like this one day.
So we're going to cover 4 specific company case studies that go into a bunch of the themes on this slide. If you're going to take a picture of one side of this presentation, this one should be the one, because we're going to come back to it repeatedly but not actually show it again. So we're talking about themes: built-in sharing, piggybacking campaigns, exclusivity and vanity, competition removing choice, offline events, and distribution automation. So quickly, I'll talk about my own startup, Hitlist. So Hitlist has a very simple premise. You list places you want to travel. We alert you when there are cheap flights to get there. So if you haven't decided exactly where and when you're going to travel, you can come to Hitlist and look for things like the cheapest place to fly in the Caribbean for a long weekend in January and February. And if you don't see something that you want to book right now, you can set an alert and we'll send you a notification if it falls below a certain price threshold. So we're always thinking about, as a new company, we're always trying to think about how we get more people in the door, more monthly active users, and increase our conversion. And we follow a very simple formula: do, learn, and iterate. So we build new products, we put them into the wild, we see if they work, and if they don't, we pull them or we edit them. And you're probably thinking this isn't original at all. Everyone does this, and it's true. That's what product development is. The difference is in the pace. So this is a quick list of, sorry, slide again. Of features that we set out to build in the last 3 months. So each one of these we designed, spec'd, built out several versions, tested, released, evaluated results, usually within about 3 to 5 days. We didn't get through all of them, but we got through this many. And the important thing about building and iterating so quickly is that you never really know what's going to work. I mean, if you think about why certain things go viral, it's incredibly difficult to tell. Why did we all become obsessed with dumping buckets of water on our heads last summer? Why does Generation Z love sending disappearing photos of themselves to each other? I don't really know. I don't get Snapchat. I don't know if you guys do. It makes me feel old. But the point is, these companies, in order to figure out what works, you have to test over and over again, and the faster that you can test, the better. So one thing that's worked very well for us at Hitlist is this Wander tab. This was something that I built in 24 hours at a hackathon with a guy that I met there, a guy named Max Ismailov. He's at a company called Roomstorm. Every time, it's a Chrome extension, so every time you open a new tab, it shows you a beautiful picture of somewhere you can go and how much it costs to get there. So other than the 24 hours that it took to build the original version, and then we invested a couple days in making it more robust and scalable, we've spent absolutely nothing. We've never tried to market this beyond tweeting about it a few times, and it's grown to, at this point, 6,500 daily active users who collectively open over 1.8 million tabs a month, driving tens of thousands of new users to Hitlist and to our partner companies as well. And so why did this work? We think it's because we tapped into a behavior that people are doing every day. They're opening new tabs. On average, our users open 9 new tabs a day, and we repurposed it with Hitlist branding and content. And some other examples of this type of distribution automation are the pop-unders that you used to see on TripAdvisor and Kayak when you think you're just doing a kayak search for a flight, and all of a sudden you have windows for Priceline and Expedia as well. I like to think that Wander tab is slightly less annoying. But the point is, we got it out there. I wish we'd had time to hire a designer to A/B test where the buttons were and how the sharing would work, maybe invest in better content curation, but we couldn't afford to, and it's working pretty well regardless. So that's one thing that's worked well for us, and I'll let Sasha tell us a little bit about her company.
So Fuzzy Compass is a marketplace that I launched earlier this year. We connect travelers with travel influencers around the globe in order to get one-to-one bespoke concierge advice. So last year I took a trip to Tanzania. For any of you who've really traveled quite far, if you're going to Africa, Asia, or the Middle East, it can often be a complex trip to book. So we basically connect you with bloggers, food and travel bloggers, photojournalists, travel writers, people who are in destination who have a ton of in-depth knowledge and networks, and you pay them for their time. And we power the software that helps all of this actually happen. So our influencers are really our bread and butter, and they're the inflow for us for all of our traffic. So when we first got started, we really needed to curate a really, really good supplier network. So we started with this core group of evangelists for us who were really gung-ho about the platform and being able to help them monetize their audience. But when we needed to grow, we needed to start thinking through what could we do. So we beta tested 10 different types of referral campaigns, and the most successful of which is what I'm showing here today. So we tapped into two specific things when doing this referral campaign. The first is that we actually gifted our influencers. So we told them, we really respect you. We think that you hang out with great company. You know people. We want to know who you know. But more importantly, I'm capping the number of people that you can ever invite to Fuzzy Compass. And in order to do that, I actually created sort of a VIP exclusive environment. And they felt like they were part of a top breed of people that we were creating that had the power to actually really include who they wanted on the platform and who they could be surrounded by in the same community. The second thing that we did was we actually told them where they ranked in terms of all of the other influencers that we have on their platform. And this sort of plays into their vanity, which is a certain theme that we had brought up on the prior page. People like to be told how special that they are. If anyone remembers ever getting one of those LinkedIn messages that you were in the top 1% of viewed profiles, I don't know about everybody else, I felt really special. For all of about 5 minutes, I shared it all over the place until I multiplied 200 million users by 1%, and then I suddenly didn't feel so special. But the point was there. I did what they wanted me to do, and that was to share and to feel involved in that community. So we tried to replicate that same thing with this influencer base. And the results actually were really good. Within 24 hours, 60% of people actually did participate in the referral program. More than half of them actually gave us 5 leads or more. And then the last thing we did was we personally emailed everybody who didn't actually send a referral. And I said, hi, I'm the CEO of Fuzzy Compass. I'd really like to meet you. I want to know who your friends are and who your network was. And this ended up working really well. Then another 30% of people actually participated. So that personal outreach and touch made a huge difference for us.
So I'm going to tell you quickly about Hinge, which is a dating app. It's entered a field that was already dominated by Tinder about 2 years ago, and it works pretty much the same way, except it only shows you friends of friends. So if you open up the tab, you see a picture of someone. You can click in if you want to get a few more details on the person, and ultimately you have to decide whether you want to meet the person or not. You swipe right if yes, left if not. Hinge managed to actually gain more than a toehold through a few very clever design decisions that differentiated themselves. So first of all was restricting choice. First of all, instead of Tinder where you can sort of swipe endlessly, it will only show you a few people, and it's correlated to how many friends you have using the app. And this is kind of genius because in order to get more of what you want, which is more potentially interesting people to date, you have to invite more of the people who are exactly the target market for this app in the first place. So a second element that they did that was really important is also this element of competition and playing into vanity, sort of like Sasha's campaign did. They show you how many friends someone has on Hinge, which is a sort of implicit endorsement of how popular and desirable they are. And finally, they also introduced this element of a sort of concierge, a VIP experience. We're learning your tastes, and we'll have more great people for you. We're searching just for you. And in the on-demand generation, this is so huge. People want to feel like they're special and that someone, even if it's just a computer, is working on their behalf. But even with all these really great design decisions built in, Hinge hadn't really reached a breakout point after about 2 years of existence, and the founder decided to take a huge gamble and do something completely non-digital, and that was throw a party. So he invited 3,000 of the coolest people he knew in DC, insisted that you had to download Hinge to get into this party, and the thought process was if they could just seed the app with enough of the target market, they would be able to, all of the viral hacks that were built into the design of the app itself would take root. So they did manage to do this, and the results were incredible. So immediately after the party, they went from a couple dozen daily active users to 500, 1,000 within a week, and tens of thousands within months. And so, you know, these offline events are very difficult to measure the return on investment for engaging in micro-influencers, not traditional celebrities, and not throwing anything especially splashy or giving away a cruise or anything like this. You know, the entire budget of this party was certainly less than $5,000, I think. And it had a tremendous return on investment. And other companies that have used this sort of offline micro-influencer community hack relatively well are companies you might know like Yelp and Airbnb, who relied on this very heavily in their days of getting from 0 to their first 100,000 users. And now just to wrap things up, we'll go from, you know, dating to drinking.
I think we do those together. So Drizzly is a mobile app that connects consumers with local liquor stores to be able to get beer, wine, or liquor delivered within an hour. Drizzly did a piggyback off of a national event, something we're all familiar with, Amazon's Prime Day. And as part of this, they executed it in 3 ways through traditional and social channels. The first was that they sent a push notification to anyone that had the Drizzly app downloaded on their phone. And as part of it, you got free delivery for the day, whereas usually it's $5. Note that you actually can't discount alcohol in the state of Massachusetts, so they couldn't give coupons. The second thing they did was they sent an email to everyone on their listserv, both people who had bought before and non-target buyers. And then the third thing that they did was a Twitter interaction. They basically posted a series of questions over the course of the day on the Drizzly account, and whoever was the fastest person to respond using the hashtag #drinkison got a $100 gift card. And as part of this, you actually had to be a new buyer. You couldn't have been someone who had used Drizzly before. So it was pretty quick for Drizzly to hack this together. They actually did it in less than a week. They did it in a couple days. And cost-wise, the only cost was these gift cards, and it tied back to Amazon. So for them, it was monumental, actually. They got more buyers during their Amazon Prime Day than any other day in Drizzly's history. They got picked up by a ton of different outlets as being one of the best Prime Day activities, everything from Forbes to Time and so forth. And these are a look at kind of some of the metrics. So they kind of credit it to 3 different things being helpful here. The first was really timely, clever messaging. You know, language can go a really, really long way when actually impacting consumer behavior and adoption. If you rearrange words, reorganize them, change them, the right words in the right order at the right time can do wonders. And in Drizzly's case, it really did. They actually pretty much credit most of this to how clever all of the campaign was itself. The next thing was just kind of how timely it went in the different channels. They didn't just push it on one, they did it on everything, which I think that we all mostly do, but they really took it to another level, and they tried engagement. So they've always seen a lot of loyalty historically with being able to use gift cards, some $100, some a lot less, but being able to give back to the user and connecting it back to the actual theme of the entire event, which was Amazon.
So just to recap, we've gone over a few strategies: distribution automation with Hitlist, playing into competition, exclusivity, and vanity with Hinge and Fuzzy Compass, offline events as well for Hinge, and piggybacking campaigns with Drizzly. So the amazing thing about startups is that we can and do push dozens of new ideas out into the wild every month, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we don't have globally recognized brands that we need to avoid tarnishing, and we don't have bureaucracy that says something has to be perfect instead of just good enough, and because of that, we're able to, you know, fail fast, and most of the stuff that we tried doesn't actually take root, but the downside is so low, and the upside can be so incredibly high. So all the companies that we've talked about today are not anywhere near the size of probably most of the companies that you all work for, but I'm willing to bet that some of us will be someday. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great.